Monday morning. Peter arrives at work, tired from a traffic jam. He starts a boring workday. Around him are the sounds of phones, keyboards, and the photocopier. He just sits down when his manager Bill Lumberg arrives. Bill complains about Peter's work. He says Peter forgot the cover sheet on his reports. Peter admits his mistake and says he'll fix it, but Bill continues to lecture him. He picks up his coffee cup and walks away. Just then, Peter's coworker Milton turns on the radio for the news. Peter asks him to turn it down, but Milton stutters and doesn't give in. Seeing it's hopeless, Peter sits down and tries to control his emotions. Another manager, Tom, asks Peter about the report mistake. Peter tries to explain again, but Tom ignores him. He continues to complain and lecture, making Peter fed up. Tom leaves. Another phone call from a different boss reminds him of the error. In another part of the office, two of Peter's colleagues are struggling with the printer. Samir Nayanajid complains that no one pronounces his name correctly. Michael Bolton says his name is the same as a singer involved in a scandal. Just then, Peter arrives and suggests they go to their usual cafe. He says he might die from frustration. At the cafe, they talk about Monday syndrome. Boring work, strict control from superiors, and a soulless office environment make them stressed. They were once the best programmers at Intech, but now they are not respected. Every day, they have to go through boring work. Peter starts to imagine when they are 50 years old and still have to struggle with boring office work like this. At this time, a girl catches Peter's eye. She is the waitress at the cafe whom Peter has noticed many times. His two friends encourage Peter. If he likes her, why not take the initiative to get to know her and ask her out? But how can he date the waitress? Peter is still in a complicated relationship with his girlfriend, Anne. Peter feels very uncomfortable with this relationship, controlled and deceived. Anne has recently been seeing a therapist, and she has also scheduled an appointment for Peter this weekend, so they won't be able to play poker on Friday night as planned. When they return to the office, manager Tom rushes over to announce bad news. The company is about to downsize. They will send efficiency experts to investigate whether employees are really working seriously. Tom is very worried, but the three of them, Peter, Samir, and Michael, don't care much. In the past, the company has announced downsizing many times, but the result has not changed. They are still employees, and Tom is still the manager. Back in the office, the manager starts to enthusiastically present business ideas. He is worried about being fired, so he wants to start a business. But none of the three employees agree with his idea, even thinking it stupid and terrible. The three continue to reminisce about high school, where there were career guidance classes. They were asked what they wanted to do to earn $1 million. Whatever career they said was considered a legitimate dream. But who works as a waiter or janitor to become a millionaire? They keep arguing until the end of the day. Perhaps this is the job of office workers, instead of focusing on improving efficiency. After work, Peter will do some sports before going home to rest in the evening. He sits down wearily on the sofa to watch TV. Suddenly, a voice tells him to switch to Channel 9 to see something amazing. It turns out to be the voice of his neighbor, Lawrence, through the non-soundproof wall. He immediately runs to Peter's room and turns on Channel 9. A sexy girl appears. The neighbor jokes that she looks a lot like Peter's girlfriend. Speaking of which, it's been a long time since she came to Peter's house. Peter and Lawrence talk about the pressures of life. Lawrence is a construction worker. His life is very simple. Work and spend money on legitimate hobbies. When he has $1 million, his dream is to do 2 chicks at the same time. He's sure girls like rich men. He asks Peter what he would do if he had $1 million, but Peter doesn't have a specific plan. He just wants to relax and do nothing. Lawrence has a great suggestion for him, which is bankruptcy. No more work, no more pressure, and no money. Peter says that he is often forced by manager Bill Lumberg to work overtime on weekends. Lawrence immediately suggests avoiding the manager on Friday afternoon. That's it. This makes Peter think. He looks back on his life and feels tired. That night, Peter tosses and turns, unable to sleep. When he finally falls asleep, even in his dreams, he hears the haunting sounds of the office, the phone ringing, the keyboard typing, the photocopier. On Friday morning, the entire office is gathered to hear manager Bill's presentation on the slogan, "Is this good for the company?" He wants all employees to think about the company's interests before making any decisions. He also introduces the investigation team, those who are promised to be experts in improving work efficiency, but all the employees just shake their heads in boredom. It's almost the end of the Friday afternoon shift. Peter is busy handling his remaining work. Other employees have finished their work and left to avoid meeting the manager. Peter also hurries to save the data as quickly as possible and then turn off the computer. The more impatient he is, the slower the computer is. It takes a long time to turn off. Peter happily picks up his briefcase and leaves, but he can't escape the manager. He says he wants Peter to come to the company on Saturday and Sunday on time, like a normal working day. This makes Peter unhappy. That evening, Peter and his girlfriend go to see a psychotherapist. He describes his condition. Every day at work, he feels it's the worst day of his life, even wanting to end it all. The psychotherapist expresses sympathy for Peter and begins the hypnotherapy process for him. The doctor turns off the lights, starts telling Peter to relax every part, every muscle, every cell in his body, let go of all worries, and he will count down to enter a hypnotic state. And what will happen happens. Heavy eyelids, someone has collapsed, but it's not Peter, it's the psychotherapist. Everyone is shocked and helps the doctor up. Only Peter is pouting at his situation. But the strange thing is that Peter sleeps better than ever that night. On Saturday morning, the alarm clock rings at 8 a.m., but he turns it off and goes back to sleep. He ignores missed calls and voicemails, sleeping until 3 p.m. Peter wakes up to find 17 missed calls from manager Bill. Just then the phone rings. Anne yells at him, asking where he's been, then complains about making her lose face with her friends. Peter is confused. He explains that
because I didn't feel
and is
like
immediately scolded by Anne. Not letting her finish, Peter hangs up. She angrily leaves a voicemail demanding a breakup because Peter hung up and also yells that she cheated on him. Peter feels relieved anyway. He's too tired of this relationship. The new week begins. The whole Intech company is buzzing with a new timekeeping method and a series of complicated regulations. Colleagues are also wondering why they don't see Peter at work, not to mention that he didn't come to work overtime last weekend as the manager requested. Manager Tom is going through a stressful interview about his duties. The investigation team thinks his intermediary work is quite redundant, meaning that he doesn't do anything useful at this company. Tom knows they are pushing him, so he can't keep his cool and says some explosive things. This makes the investigation team shut up. Not only Tom, but all company employees are investigated. Everyone walks out of the company with a bored look. Milton is the most bullied person in the company. He has been noticed by the investigation team. He is often moved to make room for new employees. His work tools are changed to lower quality ones. Even his stapler is stolen by Bill. Along with the pressure from the investigation, Milton always mutters that one day he will burn down this company. Where is Peter now? He dresses comfortably and goes to the cafe they often frequent when working. Peter quickly goes to talk to the waitress he has had a crush on for a long time, but this surprise makes her confused and she politely refuses him. This is what Peter expected. He suggests she go to the restaurant across the street to have lunch with him. This very decisive and confident invitation impressed the girl. She asked him which of the two restaurants across the street he would be waiting at. Peter happily walks away because he knows for sure that he will have lunch with the beautiful girl today. The girl enters the restaurant in her uniform, sits down to chat with Peter. The first time they talk, they start with shyness. The girl is curious about Peter's job. He replies that he is a programmer at Intech. He starts to describe his job, but of course the girl finds it very difficult to understand. Peter says that he doesn't like this job very much, so he decided not to go to work anymore. The girl is very surprised by this decision. Moreover, it is a decision made 1 hour ago. She feels that this man is not very suitable for her. But when Peter invites her to come home to watch Kung Fu, she is surprised. This is also her hobby, and she agrees immediately. After lunch, Peter goes to the company to the surprise of his colleagues. He enters the meeting room with the investigation team and comfortably pours a glass of water. When asked what he does in a day, Peter doesn't hesitate to tell the truth about his work, being late, sitting idly, pretending to look at the computer to look like he's working. Moreover, he has 8 bosses, and each of his mistakes is repeated 8 times. This makes the investigation team gasp in amazement. Not only that, he also says that no matter how hard he works, he is not recognized and there is no reward. Every day he is pressured by his superiors, so where does he get the motivation to try? The investigation team offers a reward with the hope of encouraging employees, which is the right to buy shares. This reward sounds attractive, but in fact, it has no value. Peter flatly refuses and decides to leave. The investigation team is surprised by Peter's attitude. They think this is a true talent. Peter reaches the door and meets manager Bill. He comes over to question him why he didn't come to work overtime on the weekend. Peter quickly walks around him without saying a word. The manager is so shocked that he stands still for a long time. Those around him are also surprised. After that, the investigation team has a meeting with manager Bill. They start talking about people with poor work performance at the company. When mentioning Peter, they excitedly share that he is an honest person, has good thinking, and deserves a management position. Bill doesn't think so because Peter opposed him, so he badmouths Peter in front of the investigation team. But this backfires. The investigation team thinks the employee's problem lies in his management style. From a powerful manager in the office, he is investigated and disciplined. After that day are the most comfortable days at Peter's company. He can go to work at any time, wear whatever clothes he wants, freely express his personality as long as he completes his work. He also has more time to date his new girlfriend. Manager Bill doesn't dare to raise his voice. He has to clean up the mess Peter creates. But for other employees like Milton, he still bullies them in all kinds of ways. After a while, the investigation team invites Peter to a meeting again. They announce the employees who need to be laid off due to low work performance and plan to recruit more hardworking people. Peter's two friends, Samir and Michael, are both on this list. Peter invites Michael to his house to drink beer. Initially, they mention a virus that can cheat transactions. With this error, they can completely take advantage of it to make a lot of money. But Michael's kindness does not allow him to do so. Michael feels that the job at Intech is stable and provides a good income. Then Peter tells him about the investigation team's intention, which is to fire Michael at the end of this week so they don't have to compensate him. Michael becomes extremely disappointed. They have to go to the club to have a proper drink. Michael starts cursing and tells about the past. They used to be the best programmers at Intech. Unexpectedly, one day they were fired by the company. Michael guesses Peter is the same, but surprisingly, Peter is promoted, but he is not happy about it. He realizes he is wasting his time and effort at this company. All three of them work hard, but only the bosses get rich. They will always be ordinary employees without a breakthrough. Peter doesn't want to continue this situation anymore. He tries to convince Michael to take advantage of the software error to make a huge amount of money, then leave this bad company. Michael finally agrees. Then they convince Samir. He initially refuses because this is illegal, but with Peter's persuasion and Michael's agreement, he finally agrees. They discuss with each other to swear to God that they will not tell anyone about this. Only the three of them know about this. But Lawrence from next door suddenly yells, "Me too!" Samir and Michael are worried, but Peter reassures them that they don't have to worry. In the following days, Peter takes over the management position. Unlike his sloppy clothes, Peter wears a luxurious suit to work. Samir and Michael take advantage of their last working days, perfecting the virus and implanting it into the hard drive. They also find loopholes in the internal credit system. With daily bank transactions with a fractional amount of $0.00001, the virus will automatically collect them into an account with a super secure code line. Although it is a fractional amount, with thousands of transactions per day, they can quickly profit from it. Peter is a senior manager who can access the server, successfully install the hard drive into the server. Now their job is just to wait for the money to flow into their account. According to calculations, just sitting around for 2 years, they will earn $1 million. On the day Samir and Michael are fired from the company, Peter drives them away in his car. The company sends a monitoring team to follow them to make sure they don't take anything. This makes them feel like thieves. Peter stole something from the office, which is the crazy photocopier that often breaks down. They used to wish they could throw it out the window. Now that dream has come true. Each person stomps and hits it, releasing all their frustrations and pressures. Then they go to Peter's house and have a great party. The next day, his girlfriend sees the battlefield they created. She is shocked. She doesn't understand what they are celebrating when 2 people are fired. Of course, Peter can't reveal it. But Joanna questions him too intensely. Peter has to reveal a little information. He deliberately explains in a confusing way, but Joanna suddenly says that it sounds like stealing. They have a small argument. Peter tries to explain but keeps revealing loopholes. At this time, they are on their way to a party. It turns out that manager Tom, after being fired, had a traffic accident but luckily survived. He invited everyone to a celebration party. So Peter and his girlfriend stopped arguing and went to the party on time. The party is attended by many former colleagues at Intech. Tom appears in a catastrophic condition. His whole body is injured, bandaged, and in a wheelchair. Luckily, he is still very optimistic. Tom excitedly introduces the conclusion mat that he once wanted to make. Every time we walk around the house, we can jump into those conclusion boxes, just like we have solved the problem. It's just that now he is injured all over his body. He can't stand up to play that jumping game. At the party, everyone is very happy to chat and have fun. The platinum-held colleague approaches Peter and starts looking around to see if there are any pretty girls. He notices Joanna in the distance and reveals a shocking truth. She used to sleep with Lumberg. Peter is shocked to think that his girlfriend used to sleep with his manager. On the way home, Peter uses that as an excuse to argue with Joanna. His girlfriend explains that it was 2 years ago and she didn't know that person was Peter's colleague. Peter feels he can't stand his girlfriend, having slept with such a despicable and mean guy. They argue fiercely. The more they argue, the more tense it gets. Peter says his girlfriend's standards are too low, while she mocks Peter for stealing every penny from the bank. Finally, they get angry with each other. Joanna demands to get out of the car and walk home. Peter can't sleep at night. He dreams of his girlfriend and Bill having sex, angry to the point of waking up. The next day, Peter goes to the ATM to check the balance of the account where they received money from the fraudulent virus. He can't believe his eyes. He immediately has to call his 2 colleagues. Damn, it's only been 2 days and that damn virus has brought in over $300,000. So maybe in just 1 week they will earn $1 million. But this is not what they want. If things go too fast, the amount of money lost is too large. The banks will immediately discover this, then quickly investigate. The 3 have to meet urgently to deal with the money. Unable to return the money, they discuss laundering the money by giving it to drug dealers, but they don't know any dealers. Just then, there is a knock on the door. It is a magazine delivery man who is telling about his journey to quit addiction and begging them to buy newspapers. Michael cleverly asks him if he knows anyone who deals drugs. He shakes his head and admits that it's just a story made up to gain people's sympathy. Then people will buy newspapers to support him. He used to be a software engineer, but that job didn't help him earn much. Hearing this, the 3 sympathize with his situation and buy all the newspapers he has. But what for? Nobody knows. They feel their actions are stupid. Peter starts complaining about life. He thought from here on he wouldn't have to face any more trouble, but now the money earned is likely to put them in jail. His relationship with his girlfriend is also not good. Peter tells the story of Joanna sleeping with Lumberg, but Samir and Michael don't seem surprised because the person with the surname Lumberg is not Bill Lumberg, but another person. Peter says he argued with his girlfriend about it. His 2 friends think Peter is very mean. Peter also doesn't stay silent, blaming Michael for miscalculating, causing the fraudulent amount to be too much. They start to raise their voices and blame each other. Michael and Samir both agree that the person who started this is Peter. The situation becomes tense. Everyone is afraid of the future of being arrested and imprisoned. Each person leaves, leaving Peter in an empty room. Even Lawrence next door doesn't want to meet him because he's afraid of being affected by the money theft. At night, Peter has a nightmare again, seeing the 3 of them standing before the court. Each person is sentenced to different crimes. When the hammer falls, he wakes up and drives to see his girlfriend. Seeing her in the uniform of another store, he asks. It turns out that Joanna quit her job at the old place. The manager often forced her to wear badges all over her body to express herself. But in fact, those badges are just like a joke for customers. She doesn't want to make herself look more stupid, so she quit her job. At this time, Peter understands it turns out that she also has a lot of problems at work. Her life is also not very good, but she still tries to live comfortably and do what she likes. Peter apologizes to his girlfriend and admits he misunderstood and judged her past. He hopes she will give him a chance. Before he can finish, Joanna hugs him. Peter says he will confess to his crime of stealing money. He writes a confession letter along with checks stuffed into an envelope, goes to the company alone, and throws it into the slot of manager Bill Lumberg's office door. Right after that, Peter regrets it. He tries to reach through the slot to retrieve the letter, but he can't. The slot is too small for his hand. Peter leaves dejectedly to pack his belongings, say goodbye to his neighbor, and prepare to go to the police station. The next morning at Intech, Milton comes to complain to Bill's secretary that he hasn't received his salary. Although he has reported to Bill many times, he ignores him. This secretary also chases Mighton away by saying that manager Bill hasn't arrived at the office. In fact, Milton is the most miserable person in the company. He stutters, so he can't express his words clearly. Recently, Bill has chased him down to sit in the warehouse near the garbage. The company has a party, but doesn't give him a share. Milton keeps stuttering, recounting his suffering. But the secretary just coldly replies, "Wait for the manager to come and solve it." This makes him unhappy. He wants to be paid, or at least get back the brand name stapler that Bill took. Then he pushes open the manager's door, muttering, "I'll burn this company down, just wait and see." He doesn't notice Peter's confession envelope on the floor. On the way, Peter goes to the police station. He sees a series of fire trucks stopping in front of his company. He curiously drives in and sees his company is burning down. In the crowd, Peter sees Milton sneaking through the crowd as if he just caused something. Peter laughs to himself. Perhaps Milton's saying, "I'll burn this company down," has come true. But no one knows exactly who caused this fire. A fire that burned all evidence of the hard drive containing the virus, erased all traces of Peter's fraud. He stands there laughing to himself. After that, Intech suffered huge losses and went bankrupt. Peter joins the cleanup crew with his neighbor Lawrence. In the rubble, they find a red stapler that is almost undamaged. Surely it is a high-quality stapler. Peter knows for sure who this stapler belongs to, so he puts it away. His 2 friends Michael and Samir have continued their programming work at other technology companies. Each person has a new life, but they are still good friends. On some beach, Milton is sunbathing with a cool cocktail, but this is not the drink he ordered. He stutters to explain to the manager. The beach manager doesn't understand what Milton is saying and walks away. Milton keeps muttering, "I will bankrupt this place, I will poison the food, I will burn it down." No one cares, or no one hears clearly what he is muttering. Even if they understand, no one believes it. No one knows that this weak man just made a big company go bankrupt. No one knows why Milton has money to go on vacation. No one knows where Peter's confession letter and checks went. Office Space is truly a classic satirical comedy, a distorted but incredibly realistic mirror of office life. From the moody photocopiers to the out-of-town keyboard warriors, the film exposes the ridiculous, absurd, and yet familiar things in the workplace. Surely many of you, when watching the movie, must have been startled, asking yourselves, haha, why does this look like me / my company? Peter's feeling of being stuck, the pointless meetings, the silly rules, and even Milton's slovenliness, all are pains that office workers have more or less experienced. But Office Space isn't just for laughs. The film is also a reminder, don't let work swallow you. Don't let meaningless things make you forget the things that really matter. Be like Peter. Dare to fight back. Dare to change. Dare to be true to yourself. In Office Space, which character do you find the most insane and why? Leave a comment below, and if we can borrow some laugh-cry stories from your office, even better. Don't forget to ring the bell and subscribe to the channel to join us in dissecting more interesting movies. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.